Happy Friday, Bulldogs. August O's back. We're making our next video on ways that we'd be using our sinking fund or potential sinking fund revenue. We've had a few videos along the way so far. One introducing the sinking fund. One, we had a rep out and we specifically looked at the boilers in the elementary school. Earlier this week, we had a gentleman from Train out and we were looking at air handlers in both buildings. We took a little field trip to the roof. Today's video looks a little bit different. In a moment, I'm going to switch over and we're going to watch a screen recording together that kind of shows a product that we've had in the building this year. We had a presentation on this product, I should say, our safety team did. That safety team is made up of local first responders, school staff, and back in the fall, we had our first and really our only at this point safety team meeting. And the outcome was to explore ways to bring a product in that we previewed. So we're going to preview that as a community today together, and then we'll flip back and we'll talk a little bit more at the end. And I just want to point out too, sinking fund, you can always use revenue on those things that you would expect. Like I mentioned, boilers and air handlers, but there's those three outlying areas that are also allowable. Those areas are technology. We are not going to use any sinking fund revenue on technology. We have no intentions of that, even though it's in the ballot language. We already have a revenue flow, also supported by the community with the countywide tech millage. That kind of allocates our technology money. But transportation is kind of an outlying allowable expense under a sinking fund, and then school safety. This is more of a reactive approach. If something were to happen in our schools, it would add to the level of locking down and security that we would have in the moment, in the heat of an emergency. So again, hoping this is something that we never have to deal with, but hoping is just not good enough. We need to take some steps to make sure we're kind of hardening our buildings and giving our kids and our staff the best opportunities to come out of a tragedy as good as possible. And that's what this video will be looking at. So let's flip around and look at a screen recording. Okay, the Smartboot product is made by a company called Lockout USA. Let's watch this video together, and I'll kind of stop and narrate little things along the way. There are some things that you'll see if you're familiar with our school that we already have implemented, and then there's the others that I'll point out that we would like to use sinking fund revenue to purchase and get in our schools.
I'd say the mission is really just to keep people safe, whether they're kids or adults. It's a dangerous world that we live in.
So I'll stop right there. That's something that you've seen before. Two things. I stopped at a good point. I think it was an accident, but I'll take it. We have the numbering system on the building already, and then these things are called ballistic shields. When you walk into our buildings, where it used to be like just all glass that someone could potentially get through a little more easily, we now have these shields on all of our exterior doors that once had glass, just to make it a little more challenging. So these are things we've already purchased, but let's continue the video.
I value life, and I mean that's what our products do, is they help save lives, whether that's keeping someone from getting through a door, whether that's helping the police navigate buildings in the perimeter of a building to get to people as quickly as they can. So I think that's about as impactful as you can be. I think it's vital that school districts have our mapping and our placards so they can.
That's one piece that we do have currently in Summerfield. On the inside, the numbers are no longer flat against the doors. But if you're a first responder and you're responding to an emergency, you can actually look down the hallway. And because the way these are triangularly shaped and they come out, they also are reflective if the lights are off. You can look down, whether just with your eyes or with a flashlight, you can easily see what hallway you're in and just navigate a little more easily and efficiently.
You can navigate and get to where they need to get to stop the issue. The tablets in the smart system, it's a magnificent piece of communication. They alert administrators and teachers of what's going on. They alert the law enforcement of what's going on. And then the smart lights, it's one of the best alert systems I've ever seen. The fact that we have them inside, whether that's hallways or cafeterias or gymnasiums, and the fact that we didn't forget that they need to go outside as well. The boot is a device that will not let anybody get through the other side of the door. A lot of stepchildren are children children, and we have 3. And to think that we could possibly save one of my 3 children, one life, so to speak, that's so empowering. I had people come up and say they felt like sitting ducks before we put this system in place. So it's empowering people. It just makes me feel safe, which is the basic need. It's complex behind the scenes, but it's so simple for our students and our staff. And I think when they start to see some of that, how it all works together, and that it's a true system. A lot of my colleagues right now are piecing together things, and they're wondering how they're going to fit these security things together. And our company's already got that figured out. Parents have an expectation to send their kids to school and they get there safely, for them to come home safely. And that's a fair expectation.
So watching that, I wrote down 3 different things. And I've been fortunate enough in my previous district, I was familiar with this company. It was something that district was moving in a direction of implementing. And then early on, I wanted to get the opinion of our safety team here. So we met and we had the rep in, and he talked about it. But there's 3 things I wrote down when watching the video. One was the smart light. Love that the smart light goes both on the inside of the building and the outside of the building. A few things, if you're inside a school, that you start to recognize. For example, gyms are loud, right? So Miss Matthews, we're talking in the high school right now, she's hosting a gym class, and the kids are playing. It's a loud environment. It's a large area. That gym would have a light up top. So if something were to happen and the system is notified and kicked in, that light would go red, indicating, even though I can't hear something, I can see something is off right now. I can see I need to either lock down or I need to at least find more information out. So they also would go outside. There was a situation before in my previous district, we were in a lockdown, and an ISD or a shared staff member was arriving. And in the moment, right, you're trying to secure the area. You're not thinking, okay, how can I make sure nobody else enters the building? The light on the outside, though, would take care of that. The light would go red on the outside, and you know if the light is red, you don't want to enter, right? There's a reason that we're actually locking down. You probably want to get away and get out of here. But I do like the benefits of the light. They're also in the hallway. If you're in the bathroom and you missed an announcement and you walk out, you can see the light. It kind of indicates, are we good? Are we green? Or are we in a lockdown situation? Communication is always key when responding to an emergency too. So let's say, and I'm going to paint a worst case scenario here, but it's real, and these are the things that we talk about. Let's say there is an active shooter we're in the elementary school, and we're in the 5th and 6th grade hallway. Right now, if that's the case, first of all, the ladies in the office would have to identify where the issue is, and they'd have to make the announcement, and that would trigger everybody else to go into a lockdown. Or the ladies in or any of the teachers in that hallway, or any of the staff members, that they'd have to recognize what the issue was. They have to call the office. The announcement would be made. And I mean, time is precious, right? Especially in the event of an emergency. So the way that the boot system works, it's connected via Bluetooth. So you see something, your priority then becomes barricading and putting that boot in your door. It's very heavy duty. I've lifted one before. They're very heavy. They're shooters. When they come into a building, they, unfortunately, I hate to even say these words, but their goal is to get as many people as they can. Once they reach a spot where they can't get into a door, they know that their time is precious. They don't wait and keep trying. They go to the next one. They're looking for soft spots to make quick work. So if I'm the teacher and I'm right by Miss Emery's room in that 5th and 6th grade hallway, and I pull my boot out because I recognize there's an issue, and I barricade my door, now every boot in the entire building is saying lockdown, 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 because they're talking to each other via Bluetooth. So now Miss Emery can truly focus on taking care of her kids and making sure that they're safe, and not calling Miss Castanis across the hallway, calling the other teachers anywhere in the building, calling the office to make an announcement. All those rooms know already, because the little boot box is saying lockdown, lockdown, lockdown. These would be in the bathroom. So if you're in the bathroom, which is always an area of a concern for a school, but your boot is talking to it too, or saying lockdown too. It's alerting you. So we know that we need to train kids. If that's happening, what do you need to do? You close the door, you put that boot in, and you secure yourself. So there are also pull stations. There was a pull station early on in the video. If you're in the hallway and you see that there's a lockdown situation, you pull it and that automatically triggers the chain reaction of lockdown, lockdown, lockdown. The lights are changing, the boots are talking. And you do that and then you wait for more information, right? The way we respond to emergency situations, it's changed over the years. But the first step is making sure you're safe immediately. And then we want to be able to do that and then gather more information. So this would give us a chance to improve communication, both from a timeliness standpoint and from just an all-around standpoint. It takes care of some of those holes that we have, like the loud areas, the gyms, the cafeterias, the outside of the buildings with guests coming in. The boot and the Smartboot system, it takes care of all of that. So I thought they did a great job with the video. This is a product that we would like to talk more about bringing in. It would be funded via potential sinking fund revenue. But if you have any questions on it, let me know. Always open to looking at other products too. When we go to different conferences and things, there's always vendors there. We're always looking and seeing what's the latest and greatest that's out there. But the Smartboot system is one that is it's very popular, very common, and it seems to, in my opinion, be very effective in addressing the areas that we would like to address. So again, I'll leave my email address below. Shoot me an email if you have any questions. The vote is May 6th. Our job is to inform you of what your sinking fund dollars or what your tax dollars will be going to. So happy to keep doing that, putting the videos out. We do have a couple community meetings. Our next one, it's a 9 a.m. meeting in the high school media center, and that is next week on Thursday at 9 a.m. And then we have one, and I'll start advertising this a little bit more and making sure it's out there. We have an evening one the following week. But next opportunity is next Thursday. Today's the 7th, so it should be the 17th? Thursday the 17th, 9 a.m., Summerfield High School Media Center, community meeting specifically talking about the sinking fund and answering whatever questions you might have and going over all the details from that. So thanks for watching today. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you next week.